Alright everybody, after tons of requests for more alien shit, we're back with another video. I'm not complaining, I love talking about this stuff. If you're interested in an overview of Dark Horse's history with the Aliens license, go back and check out our first video. We'll wait. Okay, all caught up? If the sheer amount of Aliens comics is a little overwhelming for you, fear not. We present to you our very first listicle, the top 3 Aliens comic stories. If there was any doubt that we had any more originality or integrity than the rest of the internet, it's gone now. Please hold all of your applause until the end. And by the way, we're on Twitter and Instagram now. We're not late to the party, right? If you want to follow us on Twitter, some motherfucker already took Alpha Rookie, so we are Alpha_Rookie. But Instagram, we were not late to the party. We are actually just Alpha Rookie on Instagram. As we go through this list, we're going to show you some artwork from the stories, but we're not really going to spoil anything, so don't worry about that. So if you haven't read any of these yet, don't worry, we're not going to ruin it for you. On to our list. Number 3, Salvation by Dave Gibbons and Mike Mignola. So, right off, Mike Mignola is one of the all-time great comic book artists. He's best known for creating Hellboy, my personal favorite comic series. Alan Moore described his art style as German Expressionism meets Jack Kirby. His moody use of negative space makes everything look like it's drenched in shadows, and overall makes his art style well-suited for scary, surreal shit in general. Here's probably my favorite panel from the story. Just look at the use of silhouette here, with the giant looming alien in the background and the main character in the foreground. There's minimal light going on here, minimal color, but it's getting so much across. Mostly, though, it's really getting across the menacing, intimidating stature of the alien. It's just overbearing. He looks like he's just gonna swoop down and bite his head off. The juxtaposition between alien and human is incredibly evident. The story is actually written by another comic book artist, Dave Gibbons. He's probably best known for drawing Watchmen, but he's a good wordsmith in his own right. Salvation is told from the perspective of a very religious cook on a ship with a secret mission, of which the cook has no knowledge. It opens with the cook and the captain stranded on a planet that is entirely ocean with the exception of one small landmass. Basically, they're shipwrecked on an island. As for the rest of the crew, well, after a mysterious breach in the cargo hold, the ship was doomed. With only one lifeboat, with room for only 2 people, the captain takes the cook and leaves the rest of the crew to their fate. The cook must deal with this captain who's rapidly losing grip on reality and an alien island rife with danger and, of course, xenomorphs. The desperation of survival makes Salvation a great little horror story. It's paced well, and the decision to tell the story from the perspective of a religious zealot on a need-to-know basis makes for an interesting yarn about a man's faith tested while unveiling the truth about the ship's true mission. Currently, Salvation is being printed in Aliens Omnibus Volume 3, but it's also being singled out for the hardcover treatment in fall 2015. Number 2, Stronghold by John Arcudi and Doug Mahnke. John Arcudi is one of the most underappreciated comics writers. His biggest contribution to the medium has definitely been his stewardship of BPRD, the sister title to Hellboy, and all the various series from the extended Hellboy universe. Did I mention Hellboy is my favorite comic? Someday I'm going to figure out how to articulate in a video what makes the Hellboy universe so amazing. Anyway, currently Arcudi has a book out with artist James Herron called Rumble that's pretty fucking great, and you should check it out. Arcudi collaborated on Stronghold with Doug Mahnke, whom he had previously worked with on a miniseries of The Mask. Yep, that's right. If you didn't already know, that Jim Carrey movie was actually based on a really dark and twisted comic book from the early 90s. There's a really interesting article linked below on how the comic became the movie if you're interested. Stronghold is about a pair of married technicians called to work on some equipment at an isolated research base, in which one scientist, who is the lone human, and a group of synthetics are working on creating a strain of virus that will selectively take out xenomorphs. But of course, the human scientist running the facility is into all kinds of shady shit. Stronghold has a great sense of humor, most of which comes from the dynamic between the 2 synthetics, Jerry and Dean. Jerry is a synthetic made to resemble a xenomorph, and Dean is an Arnold Schwarzenegger-like Terminator designed to kill xenomorphs. One is a quirky, amiable robot that just happens to look like a monster, and the other one's sole purpose is to kill monsters. They're the perfect match. Jerry is constantly nervous because he's afraid that Dean might mistake him for an actual xenomorph and kill him by accident. Stronghold has great artwork, great action, and is very witty. It does a good job of telling an entertaining story while humanizing the synthetic element of the Aliens universe. There's some good plot twists, good Asimov 3 Laws type stuff, and a great last line. Stronghold can be found in Volume 4 of the Aliens Omnibus series. Number 1! Holy shit, what was that? Number 1. Labyrinth by Jim Woodring and Killian Plunkett. There's a lot of good Aliens comic stories, but at the end of the day, it's gotta be Labyrinth. Labyrinth is not only the best Aliens comic story, it's just one of the best science fiction horror stories I've ever read. Labyrinth was written by comic artist Jim Woodring. He's better known for more underground, self-published, surrealist kind of comics. It makes sense that Labyrinth was conceived by a more subversive artist because Labyrinth is fucked up. I mean, it's really fucked up. More on that in a minute. Killian Plunkett is great, and unfortunately, he's not doing any real comics work these days because he's been busy with Star Wars stuff, specifically doing design work for that Clone Wars TV show. As a good rule of thumb, if there's an artist that clearly has talent, but you haven't seen any comics from them in a while, and they're still in good health, and they're not a total asshole, they're probably working in movies and video games. Probably making more money. Okay, let's talk about Labyrinth. The setup is a familiar archetype at this point. The main character, an army colonel, is ordered to see what the hell is going on at a top-secret research space station. Rumors abound of crazy stuff that happens there, etc., etc. There he meets the doctor in charge, a classic mad scientist. The doctor is delving deep into xenomorph behavior and biology, but through extremely unconventional means. The colonel must make decisions about whether the doctor is a crazy genius or just plain crazy. The A-plot is all very entertaining, but there is a point in which the Doctor essentially tells his supervillain origin story, and it's that portion of Labyrinth that puts it at the top. As Aliens fans, we've seen people get carried off by xenomorphs into their hive, seemingly to be made hosts for their offspring. But in Labyrinth, the Doctor's experience of being taken into a hive is more nightmarish than anything we can imagine. The creators of the comic basically use the alien hive as a metaphor for hell. In fact, there's a panel with some people inexplicably stuck into holes upside down, their feet stuck way up into the air, and I'm pretty sure this is a reference to Dante's Inferno. It's just messed up. I mean, the concept of being plastered to a wall just so a facehugger can implant a monster in your chest is bad enough, but Labyrinth takes it to a whole new horrifying level. It made me think about people who criticize James Cameron's Aliens for demystifying the xenomorph, and ultimately making them less scary by over-explaining them. That's true to an extent. In the comics, they are by and large an alien enemy, often depicted in large numbers and most often facilitate action stories. But Labyrinth makes them things of nightmares again, taking everything we feared about the creature as an animal and combining it with everything we fear about an intelligent species that we can never understand. If you can only make time to read one alien story, make Labyrinth be that one. Labyrinth can be found in Volume 3 of the Aliens Omnibus series, along with Salvation. Okay, that's my list. There's plenty of other good stories, and we could go on forever, and perhaps we will take a look at more of them in the future. Maybe we'll do a more of a spoilery one, get really in-depth, analytical for the people that have already read them. I don't know, fuck it, maybe we'll just read the whole thing out loud like Aliens Theater. At the very least, though, when Fire and Stowe gets released in one big book in the fall, we are going to take a look at that and return to that series.